Radar Update. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian and biblical perspective. This is a warning, but it is not a prediction. I do not know the future, but I do know we have less time than we did yesterday, and we have heard the calls for peace and safety, so that means sudden destruction is coming. Time is limited. Let us make the most of it. We have seen so many signs pointing to events coming together right now where we find ourselves. Right at the turn of the Jewish year, we find all sorts of war games going on. We find ourselves right past the end of the sign of Jonas, the different countdown variations of it, which in effect would put us in the eye of a storm, so to speak, just waiting for sudden destruction to come, and I don't believe it will hold off too much longer. It is very wearying and very tiring, but I believe we are almost out of time. We see so many prophetic events coming together at these last few days here of the year. Particularly of interest is that this year started with a total solar eclipse, and it will end practically to the day with another total solar eclipse. And that is one reason why I strongly believe all the events will happen within this 1 year cycle, particularly because it started and ends with a total solar eclipse. So we have seen, in a sense, one total circuit, and it's also prophetically and pattern-wise going to be signaling a new dawning. But this upcoming solar eclipse that's coming in just a few hours, it's not that abnormal. There's total solar eclipses all the time. So this particular one is not abnormal. But the fact that it ends exactly a year that started with one draws our attention to this time period, this time frame. And we've looked at how this year has been divided exactly in half with the Feast of Trumpets and then also the Star of Bethlehem signs pointing exactly to Purim, which reminds us and fits the pieces together that this year appears to be the same 1 year, 2-part pattern for purification and preparation that we cover in our handout. So that is why I am particularly looking toward the closure of this year as most likely wrapping up prophetic events that have started within this year. But we shall see. And while this particular upcoming total solar eclipse was not significant, the one that started it was very, very significant. And that even lends even further patterns and shadows to the whole year story that we've been looking at. The one that started out the year started exactly on the vernal equinox, the spring equinox. So that made it an extremely rare eclipse just by itself. The next one like that's not going to happen until 2034. So this year started with an extremely rare eclipse just with that. But then where it was is very significant pattern-wise as well. It occurred at the North Pole, exactly on the first day of spring. And the astronomers who do the different calculations, they say a total solar eclipse at the North Pole on the first day of spring, that's only going to occur once every 100,000 years. And this started this year's cycle that we are in right now and that we see concluding in just a few hours. This year is very significant and it appears to be coming to a close very soon. And we've talked about the patterns of Exodus 2 and the wilderness and the Red Sea crossing and the Jordan crossing. At the time of the North Pole solar eclipse, Breaking Israel News put out an article talking about it, and I'm just going to quote it to you here. Said, according to Odell, there is no place on earth that is as symbolic of wilderness as the North Pole. Whereas every piece and parcel of land in the world is owned by someone or some country, the North Pole is an international site and is not owned by any nation. Odell explained to Breaking Israel News, if God is going to teach a lesson to humanity, to the entire world, there is no more symbolic location than the North Pole. Wow. That started off this year. A solar eclipse at the North Pole. And seemed to be a signal to the whole world that there were going to be significant events in this year's cycle that we need to pay attention to. And now we see another total solar eclipse wrapping up the year. We saw our attention drawn to Purim and the backstory of the bride with that as she's preparing to go to the king's house for the first time. We find ourselves in the twilight hours before the day breaks, and we are looking and have an expectation to see the morning star, Jesus Christ. We see patterns converging together at the middle here, very reminiscent of the pattern from the parable of the 10 virgins, where there was the trumpet call warning that the bridegroom draweth near, and that the bride should rise up, trim her lamp, and go out to meet him. We are running out of time. I don't know what the future holds, but it appears that we will see things come together very soon. The Northern Thunder War Games are going to be wrapping up very soon. There has been almost zero news coverage of it, though, and a number of people are speculating what they really are doing. Are they really where they say they are, and what's really going on? Well, we'll find out in a few days either way why they've been quiet all of a sudden. And then, of course, the South Korea games started just a few hours ago as well. A lot going on and things being moved into position in addition to everything else we've seen. So I do not know the future, but it does appear we are in the eye of a storm, a little calm, right before prophetic events come together. If you have not yet, check out our booklet, Exodus 2, The Bride Goes to the King's House, where we talk about a lot more of the patterns and why we've come to the different conclusions. That's available on our website, link in the description box. Hebrews 12, 1 through 4. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. The author of Hebrews is giving an admonition of what we need to keep our focus on, what we need to be focusing our life on, our energy, our strength, our heart, our mind. We are running a race against ourselves, to give God all that we can. And because of that, we need to lay aside every weight and the sin. Notice there's two things he's saying we should lay aside. Sometimes there's weights, things in our life that are perfectly normal and good, but now at this time, they're holding us back from where we should be. It's holding us back from prayer time with God, from reading His Word, meditating, spending time with Him. There are many things that are just weights, holding us back from running closer to God. And then, of course, there's sin, things that we should purify out of our life, especially at this late hour. And what are we running toward? We should be looking unto Jesus. Not looking unto this world and all the dainties that it has to offer, not its vanity fairs and all its distractions and entertainments and clowns and everything it wants to distract us with. No, we need to look unto Jesus at this late hour. He is the author and finisher of our faith. We are not the finisher of our faith. It's not up to us to finish the salvation race. He is the author, He paid for it, and He also told us that He will testify on our behalf in due time. He is waiting for us at the finish line. And that is what we need to fix our eyes on. That's what we need to fix our focus on. That's what we need to fix our energy, our strength, our mind, our heart, everything on Christ. He is why we run. He is why we serve. Are you looking unto Jesus with your life right now? Is He first and highest above all else in your life? Are you running toward Jesus? Are you running away from Jesus? Or have you sat down and decided not to run? Let us look unto Jesus. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Let us fix our heart on Jesus. And then run. Run to Jesus. Draw close to Him. Draw nigh to Him. Lay aside anything right now that keeps you from Him. The wise virgins, they rose up and went out to meet the bridegroom. Their love affected their actions. And likewise, Christ is looking for our actions. Do we love Him? If so, let's get up, let's lay aside every weight, and let's look unto Jesus, and let's go out to meet Him with our life. Have we resisted the world, our ambitions, our career, our hobbies, our friends, anything holding us back? Are we resisting? Are we overcoming that so we can run toward Jesus? Let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Serve Christ first and highest above all else. Maranatha.